One day at a school football field, the marching band practices while their coach is reminding them to take it seriously because this will be their last home game. Arthur glances at his girlfriend Leah, who watches from the stands, then laughs with his friend Warren. Suddenly, a gunshot breaks the silence, then another. The school goes still. The story then jumps back a few weeks to show how it all began. A woman named Annie works at a Chinese restaurant with her friend Barb and the young lad Arthur, who she used to babysit. Although he's clearly grown up, she still sees her as the clumsy kid he was. After work, Annie sees Arthur walking, so she offers him a ride. They talk briefly about his parents and share a few childhood memories. At home, Arthur quietly sips a beer before his mom, Louise, walks in. She reminds him that tomorrow will be tough because his dad Don is moving out. Arthur hopes they'll stay together, but he knows things are falling apart. Meanwhile, Annie's ex-husband Glenn gets dressed for a visit with their daughter. Since the divorce, his time with her is limited. Glenn's parents are supportive of him, although they worry that he might have another breakdown. On the way to Annie's house, Glenn gets mad because he forgot the stuffed rabbit he bought for his daughter. He tries to calm himself down before getting into the house. Annie stays guarded, but she gives Glenn a chance, thinking that he has already changed. Their daughter Tara is happy to see him. He takes her to the mall where they play and take photos together. Before eating, Glenn says a prayer, as he has become more religious since the separation. Meanwhile, Annie runs errands for her mother May. May still likes Glenn and wishes they'd reunite, but Annie brushes it off. Afterward, she drives to a motel to meet Nate, the husband of her best friend Barb. Annie started seeing Nate after the divorce. It gave her comfort, but now she's unsure. When she mentions Barb, Nate changes the subject. At school, Arthur stays distracted. He had just helped his dad pack, and school offers a break from the stress. He meets Leah, a confident new student into photography. They talk and share a quiet connection. Meanwhile, Glenn stops by a carpet store to talk to Rafe, who helped him find work, leaving Tara outside with his dog. When they arrive home, Annie notices dirt on Tara's cheek. Glenn says that she must have wandered off while he was talking to Rafe. Annie gets upset and scolds him. May tells her to head to work and offers Glenn dinner, which he politely declines. At the restaurant, Annie tells Arthur he should be dating girls his age, but Arthur says he likes working there. The truth is he enjoys being around her, though he doesn't say it. Barb arrives and picks up on their bond. Glenn suddenly shows up at the back door, and when Annie left, Barb teases Arthur for having a crush on the woman. Annie is clearly annoyed while talking to Glenn outside. Her ex-husband says he just got to work, and he wants to take her to dinner, just to talk. Annie tells him that things has changed, and Glenn says they should talk about those changes over dinner. Annie eventually agrees, thinking dinner won't hurt. Time passes. Arthur and Leah grow closer over the phone. His mom Louise tries adjusting to her new life, while Don is seen eating alone, eating hot dogs with a toaster. At school, Arthur and Leah read a mature-themed book. Arthur quietly tells her to lower her voice while the librarian watches. Meanwhile, Glenn starts his job at the carpet store, but he struggles as he messes up orders and awkwardly brings up religion to customers. Later, Barb finds a motel receipt dated the same day she worked a double shift. She realizes Nate is cheating, and she thinks that it is with her best friend Annie. Annie gets ready for dinner with Glenn. May comments that Glenn having a job is good news, but Annie is tired of hearing it, so she walks off. In her room, she puts on makeup while Tara plays nearby. When Tara knocks over some crystals, Annie snaps and scolds her. At their dinner, Glenn senses her mood but doesn't push. He offers to take care of Tara sometime, but Annie refuses. Glenn insists that he's not a dangerous person unlike the judge said, but Annie remains silent. After dinner, Glenn asks if she can go out with him next week, but Annie refuses, saying she is too busy. The ex-husband asks if she is seeing somebody, so Annie shuts him down because that jealousy of his ruined their marriage. Annie heads straight to meet Nate at the motel, but he's not there. She tries to call him, but it is Barb who answers. Annie tries to apologize, but her best friend tells her not to call again. When Annie gets home, Nate is in her driveway, as his wife has kicked him out. While the two are talking, Glenn drives by and sees Nate's car parked outside of his wife's house. He heads to a bar and starts drinking again. The next day, tension spills into the kitchen as Barb confronts Annie. Annie apologizes, but Barb's hurt runs deep as she was betrayed by her own best friend. They get interrupted when Annie gets a phone call from Glenn. The ex-husband asks if he is sleeping with another man on their bed, but Annie has had enough, so she hangs up the phone. Elsewhere, Arthur helps Leah get her camera fixed. As they leave the shop, they run into Don with another woman. Arthur says nothing, but his hurt is clear. Annie arrives home and finds Tara eating candy while Nate seems unconcerned. Frustrated, she scolds Tara, but then she hears Glenn shouting outside while kicking Nate's car. Nate tells him to stop, but as Glenn continues to mock him, Nate eventually fights back, and they end up brawling. Annie later comes out with a gun and firmly tells her ex-husband to go away. Meanwhile, Arthur plays music alone until Leah finds him and invites him to the football stands. She shares her photo collection and explains that she takes pictures to feel connected. Arthur listens and feels comforted. The next morning, Tara wants to play outside, but Annie says she is not feeling well. She eventually dozes off, and when she wakes, Tara is gone. Annie rushes outside and finds Tara's bike tipped over. She checks every room, but she's not there. She tried calling Nate from his work, but he's out busy with another woman. Annie then runs through the neighborhood, looking for her, but all she found is her daughter's pink mitten. Desperate, she calls Barb and begs for help. Despite their fallout, Barb joins the search without hesitation. While Glenn is being scolded by Rafe at work, a detective arrives and questions him. Given his past, he's the first suspect. At his house, Glenn continues to deny their accusations, and his parents defend him too. At school, Arthur gets closer to Leah, and the girl finally admits that she likes him. They share a sweet kiss, but their moment ends abruptly as the school announces that they are going to help in the search for Tara. At the court, the school head tells the students about the missing girl and how they can help find her. While Arthur searches with his friend Warren, he sees a pink mitten on the ice. He leans in and is shocked to find the girl's body underneath the frozen lake. The police tell Annie the sad news, and the mother is devastated. She cries the whole night, while Arthur can't sleep, thinking about how to comfort the heartbroken mother. Meanwhile, Glenn turns to prayer, asking what God wants him to do. One night, Glenn shows up drunk again. Nate comes out with a bat, telling him to leave. Glenn starts talking about the time Annie left him, how he drove off a bridge trying to end his life. But when he survived, he believed that God still has a purpose for him. He blames Annie for his daughter's death, then starts punching a tree and banging his head on the truck. When Nate comes back inside, Annie asks him if he was sleeping with another woman while they were looking for Tara. Nate tries to deny this, but Annie says he needs to leave already. She realized that even after what she did to Barb, her best friend was still there for her. One day, Glenn shows up at Annie's work saying he had brought pictures of him and Tara at the mall. Annie says she does not want them, and she angrily throws the photos on the ground. As she tries to push her ex-husband away, Glenn got furious and punches her. That night, Arthur tells Leah about Annie, how he has a huge crush on her. Leah smiles while listening, until she kisses him and they end up sharing a passionate night. Meanwhile, Glenn gets a gun and breaks into Annie's house. While waiting for her, he prays to the Almighty to put an end to evil. When Annie arrives, he points the gun at her and tells her to take off her shoes. He then starts washing her feet to cleanse her soul. Annie tries to fight back, but Glenn overpowers her. He later takes his ex-wife to the frozen lake where Tara was found, and that's when everyone in the school heard the first gunshot. Glenn runs to his car, then lets his dog out, and that is when the second gunshot is heard. Arthur and his mother quietly flip through old photos of him as a baby with his former babysitter Annie. For days, he's been carrying heavy sadness, but he luckily has Leah who never fails to put a smile on his face. The town never forgot the tragic story of Annie's family, but somehow, life still moves on. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.